I want to live the only life I've got, the best version of myself. So I'm always trying to think of what's going to be the best version of myself. I want to show up and, be the best wife, the best mom, live healthy, like take care of this body because this is the only one I've got.
All right, and welcome back to The Price for Paradise. My name's Woody, aka Creston Woods, and with me today we have brought on a recommended guest from my man Larry Bernstein. He recommended Deb Hamberlin. What's going on?
Hey, well, thanks for
Did I
having
say that
me.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Deb Hamberlin. Deb runs far for people online, but yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate Larry, setting us up together.
Yeah, he's the man. And Deb is an ultramarathon coach, certified, and she has a whole business on ultramarathon coaching, right? With mostly masters type clients.
I do seem like I draw that just because I am, that age group. I've been doing it for a long time.
Oh, interesting.
But I have athletes in all different ages. I've got some that are in the marathon stage, just doing some road running. But the majority, ultra running, very curious, especially in the longer stuff, things that people that are wanting to see what's 100 miles feel like, what does 200 plus miles feel like.
You're in the big ultras. You're in the ones like the Cocodonas and the Javelina hundreds.
Yes.
Probably your bread and butter.
Yes, I get a lot of those that are curious about what's this all about.
Yeah, and I say the Masters thing is because I looked her up on Grok before this, and I got this whole overview, and it's like she specializes in Masters ultramarathon running. So I was curious if that was like your thing or if the AI just gave me whatever.
I think that lately, as I've moved older and older, I'm 58 years old, so I'm getting older in the age group. I'm looking at that 60 plus as the new age group, and there's just not a lot of women in that age group that are still getting into ultra running. And so that's kind of my platform, in that I want to push people to continue to just get out there, hoping that races also embrace the older generation. So creating less barriers as we get slower, as maybe our vision isn't so well. And so that's probably how Gronk picked it up.
Yeah, for sure. And so so you said you've been running your whole life, through all stages of life at that, right? And so like you were running since when?
It was not, I was mostly a swimmer growing up. I grew up here in Arizona, and it's hot, right? And there was there wasn't a lot to do. I grew up in Gilbert. It was a very small town back then, only dirt roads. We had one stoplight. Small. So we had to go to Chandler for the closest pool. But that's what we did all summer, was swim. And so I grew up swimming, and it wasn't until my senior year in high school that I actually joined the track team. And that was just because I was graduating. Everything was done. I didn't want it to be over. My friends were on track, so I just jumped in. I was that person that they threw in for any event that they didn't have a body. So I was always last, but it just had a good time. It was a social thing.
To be a part of the team.
Yeah. And so as I moved into college, running started becoming a habit as my daily activity for exercise. In addition to swimming, I continued to do that through college, just coaching and doing coaching swim team and stuff.
And I'm training for Ironman, and I think the swim is such a complementary sport to running. Like if you can't run, like you can get in the pool and you can get those things kind of like, fixed up a little bit along the way as well.
When injuries come along, the pool's a great backup. Yeah, you can run in the pool, you can swim in the pool. Yeah, and especially, again, Arizona, you can swim year round. So so that's how I kind of got into my running 3 to 5 miles a day. But it wasn't until I was late 20s, 30 actually was the first time I did a race. And it was before the internet, so I had kind of saw some magazine articles about train for your first marathon. And I joined a first marathon program. So I was 30 before my first race.
So you were later than most to the game, right? But
that was in 2000, January of 2000, and I got hooked.
Are you happy that you waited that long? Because I feel like that almost keeps you from burnout, right? Like I feel like it's almost fresh for you starting in 30, whereas like some people are like, I've been running for 10 years. I'm kind of over the sport, kind of deal.
I'm so envious of these young people that are they're just natural talents. And it was like, if I could have just started earlier, right?
Yeah.
If I would have just known, and then it took me 10 years later to finish my first 100 miler. So it was like 2010, but what if right? There's always that. So, because now being older, I have to do all the stuff to get through this stuff.
And you have to do it right. And you have to nail the nutrition. You have to nail everything.
I mean, it's not that I can just do the training, but I have to do the strength work. I have to do yoga. I have to do PT. I have to take all the supplements. I'm always doing blood work twice a year to make sure I'm tuned in.
You're basically a professional athlete. Like that's like what you do is spend all your time on the recovery and then training and then
And when I was 30, didn't have to do any of that. You just like more and more and more. But now it's rest days too, and more is not always better. So. Yeah.
So how many races have you done? Like in general, like do you know? Is that even like a number that you keep count of anymore?
I'm a finance accounting person.
Oh, so she loves numbers.
I got spreadsheets that go way back. I have every training log I started since I was 30. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good data. Yeah.
I do. So Excel. I just go with the old-fashioned Excel spreadsheets.
It's not all logged into Strava. You're not showing off to all your friends all the 24/7.
I've been doing Strava for maybe a decade, but it took me a while because I first thought Strava was biking, more to the bikers.
Yeah.
How I know Larry is through a team called Vitesse, and that was traditionally a biking team. And so we became friends. It kind of morphed into like having triathletes and Ironman, and then my Ironman friends sucked me in, and I was the first run captain of the bike team, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so they kept saying, gotta get on Strava. And I was like, those are for bikers, but more and more runners started picking it up. So, I'm late to the game, but I've got Strava. Now I do put things on Strava, and it's more for my athletes and other people to see what I do and realize, oh, she can run slow and it's still okay, right? Not every run has to be hard.
So many people tell me that. They're like, I don't run fast enough to do ultra. I'm like, none of them run fast. What are you talking about? Like, we run real slow. And most of our training, 80% of it's slow.
Right. So I just wanted more for people to feel okay for themselves to look in comparison, right? Because I'm not doing anything extraordinary as far as paces go and training go. I'm not doing 100-mile weeks and stuff.
You just have extraordinary discipline.
So I just, I kind of think we're ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And so anybody that's ordinary can do these things.
Yeah.
So,
that's the coolest part when you realize it and you're like, oh, I just did a whole marathon, or oh, I did an ultra marathon, and you're like, clicks that it's available to a lot more people than you thought before you did one.
Yeah. So back to your question originally was how many races I've done. In the marathon and beyond, I'm over 160 that I finished, over 90 of those being ultras distances. And then those are the finished ones.
Epic.
There's obviously a lot of DNFs in there, which I think is normal. People should normalize those. That just means that you are finding your edge or you're pushing your boundary. And if you don't have DNFs, you're either brand new to the sport.
You're not pushing hard enough.
You are keeping it safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep playing it safe. You need to find where your edge is, and where your edge is today is definitely you're going to learn stuff is not your edge tomorrow. And then there's tons of like just training things where I go out for 30 miles or do rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. I've done that several dozen times. And so, yeah.
Do you like those kinds of things, like the hiking and like the long adventures more, or the races more?
I'm going to have to say a mixture, because the races give me the push to do bigger things.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a race on my calendar, I probably wouldn't have done 40 miles on Saturday, right?
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have been fine with, half that, or, not pushed myself.
And as soon as you sign up, it's like, oh, now I got to plan my whole schedule around this training block. And then your life kind of falls in around it nicely.
It does. And it becomes a lifestyle. So I quickly realized that back when I did my first marathon, and I signed up for my second marathon after my first marathon, like at the expo. You know what I mean?
You're like so hyped up about it. Yeah.
And my husband was like, oh, this isn't a one and done. And I'm like, no, not a done. So it becomes a lifestyle.
It's your whole life now.
Yeah. So, we try to plan one non-running vacation a year. And then, and then everything else pretty much, circles around.
I have that same problem when it comes to vacations. It's like if I don't feel like I can even give myself one, except I sign up for a race and I can do it anytime.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so it's addicting, but I think it's a healthy addiction.
Yeah, I think we're all addicts to some degree, and like if you can harness that in the proper way, like with ultra marathon running, it can help a lot. So, what changes the mindset of like turning from a marathon runner to an ultra marathon runner? Like, when do you like just start to decide that like difference?
I mean, for my life, where I was at that stage is I was a new mom, so I had a baby. Like she was probably 9 months old when I ran my first marathon. And so there's a lot of structure with that. Marathon running is pretty formula where I could get my runs in before she woke up in the morning, and so the long runs being 3 hours on a Saturday was still pretty manageable. I got sitters, not for nighttime. I got sitters for my morning runs.
That's
so
awesome.
That was a little bit different. And so I kind of considered that my social time, and going out time was time going out for my long runs. And then as she got older, things got easier to go out longer. And I got to where I was doing a marathon a month, and it just, and some of my PRs weren't happening. And I felt like at any one day I could go on any course, run the same time within 2 or 3 minutes.
And it wasn't going to push it without changing some variable?
I mean, the curiosity for me was like going to new locations. So it was travel, but there was only so much travel I could do. So it was that curiosity of what is beyond and what would push my limits. I also was introduced doing the Grand Canyon, and that going long. I first did it in 2 days. So it was, about 45 miles in 2 days. But it made it in my brain possible to string it together. That plus the other thing was I did the Tahoe Triple. I had first gone out there, and the Tahoe Triple is road marathons. It's 3 marathons in 3 days. So you do 78.6 miles in the 3 days, and you travel around the lake, which Tahoe, if anybody knows me or looked up, that's like my second favorite place in the world. I train in Phoenix and then in Tahoe.
You train in Tahoe.
Yeah,
okay.
So I love that. I had in my marathon day talked a bunch of friends into like, let's just do the relay. So I went from doing a 5-person relay for the marathon, but watching these people do the triple, and it just inspired me. Like it just intrigued me. Like, how do they do a marathon every day? So the year after I did the relay, I signed up for the triple. And so basically I took my marathon training plan and I tripled it. For like,
you did triple the miles,
for the long runs. Yeah, so I did Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I just did everything that was on my training plan, and I just tripled it. And so I ended up winning that year.
You won it?
Yes.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. So then I thought, well, maybe this is where my,
I'm actually, this is my thing. This is like a,
Yeah, when I was like, okay, these are my strengths that come along. So those were kind of my like teasers of like maybe going longer. This is what I'm good at. I can get into a zone, maybe not be the fastest person, but I could hold it, and then, and because if you look
I can last. It's all about attrition, right?
I don't really have very many half marathons, but if you do, I think my marathon times are faster on a per mile basis than they would have been a half.
Because your oxidative system build over time, so like you do get a little bit faster throughout if you're like loose. And like, are you slow in the front miles? Like, do you try to take it easy?
Definitely now. I'm a slow starter.
Yeah. Just warm up into it.
Yeah. From back then it didn't take me as a mile or two. Now 10, 15 miles to get warmed up.
That's so funny to hear, because like a lot of people don't even ever run 8 to 10 miles, so that's your warm up.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And so Tahoe is your other training spot. And then you did the triple. And then what was your first 100?
My first 100 was Javelina.
Javelina? You've done this one 10 times?
I've done it 10 times between the 100K and the 100-miler. So,
okay. Yeah. Still, that's still plenty of miles, doing it.
Through a mixture. Originally, like, you could sign up for the 100-miler, but then opt for the 100K finish, and they would still give you a belt buckle. And so the very first time I tried it...
That was happening to our race. Everyone was dropping into our 34.
I tried it the first time, I think 2005, maybe 2000, around there. Anyway, that was my first attempt. Made all those rookie mistakes because I was just looking at what everybody else was doing. Everybody was taping their feet. I'm like, maybe I should tape my feet. I forgot that I was allergic to adhesive. You know,
Oh,
like, how do
no.
you forget that? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and then someone else was like, well, I'm going to take an Advil every loop. Right. And I was like, well, maybe I should take one, but I didn't have Advil. I had Aleve, which
Stronger and like
yeah.
different kind of medicine too.
And anyway, you know, now we know you don't take those things during ultras because they shut your kidneys down. So my kidneys were like, you know, I was peeing blood by the third, you know, by the time I was gotten to the 100K mark. And
Do you think it's bad that they had that at the aid station at our ultra?
Do you have that at your ultra?
No, they had Advil at the end at the.
Oh, absolutely,
at the
should not.
Yeah, they had that at the aid stations.
Seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Really? Oh, no.
I was pretty like, why are they?
That's
why is that there?
shocking.
Because it's so bad, right? Especially when
Yeah.
your kidneys are that dehydrated and like
Exactly.
you're going through all that kind of work.
I don't see that at the ultras I do. I mean,
Okay, well this one.
maybe you should like
Yeah, send something over to them. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't have a medical background, but it's pretty well known that you shouldn't be taking that. Maybe Tylenol, because that's not as hard on your kidneys.
Yeah.
But if you can avoid it, you know, that's going to be, and if you, the races could be a liability, I think. If they
If they maybe someone did it on their own too. It could have been
could
one of like
be.
those organizer people that was just
Yeah.
like, you know, oh, I think that people do this and then put it out there. But I was like, crazy. This is crazy. This is the last
Yeah.
aid station. Like,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah.
Side note.
Side note, right? Yeah. Don't have Advil on ultra marathons.
Well, I learned the hard way, right? And so I did that. So I ended up stopping the 100K. But again, every time you DNF, you learn something new about yourself or about what you should or shouldn't do.
Yeah,
Or,
and then you have the motivation to PR the next race too. I swear, every time I DNF, the next race is my best race
okay.
because I'm so mad at the DNF.
Yeah. I mean, you obsess over all the things you could do and
What you can learn
get
next.
better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and then you've done even more. So you've done Cocodona.
Yeah. Cocodona was my first 200 plus miles. I did that in 22. And it came because I had signed up for Tahoe 200, I think like 4 or 5 times, and they kept having fire, too much snow, COVID year. Finally, I was like, I just need to sign up for something else. And so I signed up for for Cocodona, because I'd watched it the first year. I didn't, so I ran it the second year. I went out and volunteered at Fort Tuthill, which was at that time mile 220. And again, I was so curious to see what do people look like after 220 miles.
Yeah.
And I did a 24-hour shift. So I got to see all kinds of people that look fresh, which was amazing. People that, you know, could barely communicate, the sideways lean, really bad.
Falling over.
Feet destroyed. It was great. I mean, and the amount of food they could consume. Like
They're feasting.
It was
3
platers, everybody, you know. And so
oh my gosh.
It was just way too appealing to me, and I signed up.
Yeah, you can't not like join that challenge
Yeah.
with everyone else, right? Like if they're doing it, you're like,
Yeah.
I can handle that.
Yeah, and I kept it secret for a while, you know. So as I just kind of did that, you know, just signed up. I didn't tell anybody, and I saw Jamil, who was race directed at that time at Western States,
yeah.
and he kind of said, "So Cocodona, huh?" And I was like, "Shh, no, don't tell me," because I wasn't sure yet, right? It was like I'm signing up, but yeah, so that I was committed.
And
Yeah.
Jamil just did that Burrito League. Did you see that?
I did.
I wanted to do it. I was kind of mad I didn't join
Yes.
because Burrito League, like they did it it was right next to my house on Mill.
Okay.
And so I was like, 2
Yeah.
miles away from there, and I could have easily, you know,
Jumped
hopped in,
out,
but I didn't.
yeah.
I had a race that I was getting prepared for, so I didn't want to use that as my miles.
Yeah.
But next year, I'm going all
You're
in
going
on that
in?
Burrito League.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's intriguing. It's a social thing too, right? And
Yeah, it's a fun
and-
way to
and
get
it-
community out of ultra.
and push you. Yeah, I have a friend that worked across the street, so she definitely jumped in lunchtime, jumped in after work, and I was tempted to, but again, yeah, okay, I have to go down there and park, and you know, and
Exactly.
and you'd have to sacrifice other training time.
And you know you're not going to beat any of those guys that have been there for 3 hours, 4 hours the first day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were doing 12 hours by the end a day
know.
or more. So
Insanity.
yeah, but it's a fun way to it's just finding ways to push yourself on your limits by creating almost like adult games. So yeah.
What's your hardest race you've ever done?
Last year I did Moab 240. I ended up dropping at mile 200.
No.
If you, I don't know if anybody followed the race. It was the remnants of Hurricane Priscilla was coming through at the time. And
gosh.
I mean, they were starting to talk about, hey, bring your rain gear. It looks like it's going to be nasty. There's going to be flash floods, that kind of stuff. It started raining as we started the race, and typically a very hot race.
Yeah, Moab
turned into running in rivers.
Oh my gosh.
Flash
floods, like that thing's gonna be bone dry, and then it's gonna be not holding.
100. I maybe had 3 or 4 hours where it didn't rain when I was running. I mean, it was nasty. And the final climb, it goes over the LaSalle Mountains. So that's where I was like mid to back of the pack. And that's when the hurricane hit, like full force. So got up to almost to the top of the mountain. They had an aid station up there, and it was like triage. Like they couldn't even serve food because people were like hypothermic and just destroyed. And I looked at my pacer and was like, we got to get out of here. We're never going to get out of here. I was like underfed and just, again, feet destroyed. We got over the pass, started snowing on us, down trees because of the weather. So it was the hardest thing I've ever done because of just the weather conditions. Everything had blown, there was no markings because things were blown.
Yeah, David Goggins working your way through this. It was just like as much as you could.
It was, I came across a runner who was super hypothermic, underdressed. And, she's crying for help. She did have a pacer, but so disoriented. And I'm trying to as soon as we get, into where I got service, I'll try to, 911 and help you, at least somebody take a picture of your bib and number.
Yeah.
It just felt like survival at its ultimate. And again, I learned so much about running in wet weather. I learned about this.
How much heavier you were, with the muddy shoes and everything too. How'd you handle all that?
It was more like you had trench foot. After 3 or 4 days, you get that trench foot. So there is this powder that I learned because they had great medical there that would be doctoring feet, and so it's called Blister Shield. So now, in addition to doing squirrel's nut butter on my feet, if you're going to be in a long ultra or going to do something that's wet or even hot where you're dumping water on yourself so your feet are going to get wet, put that Blister Shield in your socks, and it's a powder and it seals in your feet.
Okay.
And you kind of avoid that. So I learned that. I always knew on these 200 plus things, if you can eat, lay down and rest a little bit, you will reset. You know what I mean? And I knew that going in along the way, but somewhere at mile 200, I forgot. It was
you can get back, but it's
it was like I am done. I got off the mountain. All I had to do was get down 40 miles, and I was done. I found my limit, and so it was kind of cool.
Finally, I hit this thing. I've been chasing this thing my whole racing career.
And I did have to go through some self-reflection because your initial reaction of I want to blame other people or blame the race or blame the weather. But it was me against the course and the conditions of the day. And it was kind of cool. I found my limit. And now everything else that I find, went to canyons, snowing, it's wet. And I was like, yeah, but,
Yeah, it's nothing.
But it's not like when it was Moab, right? You know what I mean? So everything now seems a little bit more, less, a little, okay, I can deal with it.
Prospectively. And are you going to go back?
I am going to go back. I don't have it this year. I have to go back.
It's unfinished business.
It's unfinished business. I have to go back. For me, I know some people do more than 1-200, but I feel like 1-200 in a year is a good thing for me because it does give you some deep fatigue. And
how long does it take to recover from one of those? I know the first marathon I did, I was a week out. The first 200 plus has got to be a couple weeks.
I think, you're not sore so much. You do have some skin that's peeling off and things like that. But I think it on a cellular level, for me, I'm just deeply fatigued. Even though you can't see it, I think I can feel I'm just tired. And it takes me a good month to where I feel like, okay, I'm ready to start a normal training again.
Recoup.
And mental, and for me too, I also like to have a team around me. And that's a big ask to say, can you take a week off work and come travel with me?
So true.
And I'll be your obsession for a week. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Shout out to all the people who like
Yeah.
crew other people, because like we couldn't do it without you. No way.
Yeah, there's no way I could do it without my crew. And I've got this great gal. She actually trains me I do strength training 3 times a week with her. And she's past, Kona Ironman gal. And she was a collegiate swimmer. And so she loves this stuff, but she doesn't really want to sign up for races. So she's like, I'm all in, always in. So she's my crew captain, Marcia French. And so it's great to have her anytime I'm like thinking about doing this, 4 or 5 day race, wherever. And she's like, I'm in.
It sounds like fun.
great.
I can live vicariously through you.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. Very cool. And I might need to get her number because I need to learn how to swim better. That is the one part of Ironman I am not good at. So.
Yeah. I've done one Ironman.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I'm one and done. The only reason I did it is because you start doing ultras. How many people
are like, say, oh, you can't do an Ironman?
Well, they just ask
like,
you,
what?
have you done any Ironmans? And I was like, if I get asked one more time if I'd done Ironman. So I did it. And again, I did Arizona.
Tempe? Yeah, nice.
I did the Tempe. It was in the backyard. And again, I had all these friends that were doing it. So I had a training group, and it was great. Trained for the heat. I was all ready for it. Came in, and it happened to be a big storm year, 2015.
Nice.
Hypothermic on the bike.
Oh.
I got kicked in the face in the swim.
Oh, that's the worst.
I got an ear infection 2 weeks before from swimming in Tempe Town Lake, so I had a little fever.
Tempe Town Lake's gross, huh? I had to do it too. It was then nasty.
It was one of those things. I didn't care. I was finishing that thing because I was done. One and done. Awesome. So anyway, but a lot of people, they get addicted.
Yeah, you don't like biking as much as running?
No.
Honestly, it's cool.
Easy.
You don't have to.
I do.
I don't either.
I do. I spend more inside. Just had a lot of friends that have been hit. Every time
that's the big part about it. It's like how to find places to road bike in town is very hard unless you go to like Tempe Town Lake or on that Pecos route. But other than that, you're on the side of McClintock. You're about to get hit by a car.
Yeah, I mean the Pecos route, Haile Faulkner route. I mean, he was one of our teammates for Vitesse. He was hit along Pecos, and so we were able to get the community were able to get the city to approve having that as like a designated bike pedestrian area.
Really? That's amazing.
So something good out of, unfortunately, him being hit, by a driver just going out for a normal ride at 9:30 in the morning, So so I just have that little fear every time when I was training. I was like, okay, I made it back. I didn't get hit by a car today, and so I think the stress level wasn't high enough for me to want to continue to doing.
Fair enough. Yeah, completely fair.
Yeah, so I get on the bike inside and I spin, usually once a week for cross training.
Plus you had that like swimmer background, so that does help you a lot. I am not a swimmer background, so going into Ironman is not easy. No. Like that's so much more training than I have to put in to learn how to swim right for 2.5 miles. Crazy. Mm-hmm. You guys probably did that for practice in high school.
Well, I enjoyed it when we started swimming again. I felt like, oh, this is just like when I was a kid. And swim team.
Not all of us feel that way, guys. Bringing it back in to ultramarathon running, can you give me some like tips? So like my friend, she's running her first 100-miler this year, and awesome. I'm helping pace her, and so I'm excited to just like be there for her as the crew. And I want to like any tips and tricks going into her first. She just came off of the 40 or the 34 with me, so she's already started there. She's building up, but
which 100?
I don't know which one.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
So that
Well, again, I mean.
Knowing the course helps.
As it gets closer, trying to train race specific course, like if it's
elevation, for things of that
mountain,
nature.
If it's going to be a big mountain 100, being able to do your climbing and know what type of terrain.
How to have poles at the right times and everything like that.
If it's a desert course, just knowing what the terrain is. So race specific training is good. If you can do some kind of like training camp a month or 6 weeks out, like 3 days on the course, piling it together, that's a great way to get some stimulation. If she's done 34 miles, she probably hasn't done much night training. So night training is also a key. Are you comfortable at night? Do you have good gear at night as far as your lights set up? And there's multiple setups. And so I really like the Kagala or any kind of waist lights, because when you do have your headlamp, it gives you that tunnel vision. You also get a lot of bugs flying at your face, as they attract at night and stuff. So if you get a really strong waist light, I think that's really good. Use your headlamp as a secondary light. I keep it off and then I turn it on, because when you want to look directionally, your waist doesn't move, but your head does. And so practicing I would at least do 2 all-night practices or half the night practices.
And do you go in like underslept, or do you go in like after a full day of being awake and then you go into your night run to prepare like the tiredness of that, or what do you do in the training
for a 100-miler? I don't think you need to do sleep preparation.
Prep,
a 200+ miler, I would.
That actually would be viable.
I would practice like running long, like a 35 miles, sleep an hour, get up,
and do another run.
Yeah, I would do that because that's what you're going to sleep in a 200+ mile typically, unless you're the elites. But for a 100-mile, hopefully you're not sleeping. Hopefully you're going right through.
Yeah, you're all 36-hour cutoff or something, whatever you got to do to get there, right? Yeah. How long are the cutoffs for like 100 usually?
Standard is 30. Then as you get more mountainous, it gets longer and longer. And there's ones that are, think Swiss Alps is 50 hours.
But you're climbing the Alps. Yeah. Yes. So there's that. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. And then just like preparation, you get comfortable with your gear, but then make sure you have some backups, because if you are relying on poles, what if your pole breaks? You are relying on your pack. What if something in your pack breaks? I've had people where just the hoses on their bibs, they pop off. You better have a backup, or else.
Oh, true.
So it's just like thinking a lot of what ifs. What could go wrong? And you don't want
how to put out fires fast.
You don't want that what could go wrong to derail your race. You want to be able to problem solve. So, because over 100 miles, there's going to be problems. So being prepared for them, I knew this might come up, and so I'm ready for it. The other thing is like there will be a really low time, and maybe a couple really low times, and your pacer needs to be able to like stay positive and let's talk through it, because they will come back. A lot of times it's nutrition or their electrolytes are out of balance. It's okay to throw up. You can come back from that.
Definitely.
Right? And so just have some stomach things, your ginger, some peppermint.
The ginger is a big help. I think that's the one I learned is like to carry those little ginger tabs, because like if you're nauseous and you can't stomach food, you stop moving, because you actually need to stomach carbs or else you're not going to move.
Exactly.
And so get that ginger in.
There's always a comeback from anything as low as you are. I mean, I've been able to finish, a 100-miler, couldn't keep anything down. You can go 40 miles without food.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, good to know.
So, it's not going to be fast.
Mentally, it doesn't sound available,
but you can do it. So.
Very cool. And talk to me more about the nutrition side of things. So, what do you recommend? Like, what kind of gels do you use personally? And then, do you use like those tailwinds, like carb powders? Like, what do you use?
Yeah, gosh, nutrition continually changes as your stomach biome changes and gets older.
You have to train it so hard.
I mean, it's just so. I'll say something that works for me, and then, a year later it doesn't. But currently, as far as liquid nutrition, so the powders, gnarly, I'm using that a lot. And I was using Tailwind. That was working for a while until it didn't. And then I realized, there's more sodium in gnarly. And so that I probably needed a higher electrolyte balance in my drink. And so I have been sweat tested by Precision. So I know that I'm sweating how much per liter, so I'm like that 900 milligrams per liter of water. So I don't know, that might be a little bit higher than the average. And so sometimes too, I'll add element, which those element packets have 1,000 milligrams.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
I'll split it between a couple bottles, and that gives me that extra electrolytes, and they also have, potassium in there as well as the sodium
and the magnesium as well.
And I think that my stomach does better if my electrolytes are more balanced. And so I have felt that I've had a better with that. So, and then as far as gels, the SIS beta fuel gels, they have caffeinated ones and non-caffeinated ones. They're like rocket fuel. And so if your stomach can take them, they're great, but they are super strong and hard on your stomach. So take them more earlier on in a race, and I'll just mix in precision gels with them, the precision 30s or some chews in there. And so they're easier, I find, on my stomach. And so I'll do that. And with the 100 miler, you got to mix in some solid food too.
Solids for sure.
Instant mashed potatoes are great.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get your crew to put some hot water in there, it's really quick to mix in there. And then if you have a hot race, I found with javelina, it gets so hot, and you are putting ice everywhere, but to get ice in your body as well too. So I start when it starts getting really hot, have big cups of ice, and I chew ice.
Just chew ice as you go. That's probably a great way to cool off. Yeah. And then like back of the neck, and then like the certain like areas that give you like the little bit of cooling.
I'll put buffs on my wrist, and I'll put it there because here you got some great ways to
thermal, conductive,
cool
whatever.
Yeah, on your head. Yeah, so
very cool. And then leading up nutritionally, like, do you like carb loading days into the days before the race? Like, how much can you get glycogen in, and is it good to like? Is there an over?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's only so much that your muscles can store,
and saturate.
So you definitely want to have be full. You don't want to be in a deficit going in, but you also want to make sure your stomach isn't upset because you're eating stuff that you're not typically eating. So, like, I don't eat a lot.
You haven't even got to the race yet, and you have the stomach problem, and then race morning is very hard sometimes.
I don't typically eat pasta, so I'll maybe eat more rice because my stomach is just used to that. But definitely, I think if you go, even less than a week before, just make sure you're having good meals, and that your glycogen stores are full. And I think a couple days of healthy eating will get you there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, and then caffeine intake. So this is a big one that
caffeine's amazing.
Me too. I think it's like one of the motivation helps. So I forgot my caffeine pills on the last race, and I was freaking out at the end of the race because I could feel myself like dying. I have a high caffeine tolerance. I drink caffeine all day. Like there's a couple drinks over here that, but I realized that like during the race, like I needed that little pick me up motivationally that like my normal caffeine pill would just pull me right out of.
Yeah.
But how much do you take?
Well, I believe in like going off caffeine a month before a big race.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm off of it. So I feel like that it might give me a better jolt. Like,
you want the boost when it's on race day.
Does it work or not? Who knows, but that's what I do. And so it'll be more like during the night if I'm struggling, then I'll take the caffeine pills. I also have caffeine gum that I will chew on.
Some of those powders.
And then I'll do some of the gels that have the caffeine in it. I don't have a formula. It's more based upon I'm struggling and I need it. I mean, Tahoe, the last time I ran Tahoe 200, I didn't realize that my pacer was like feeding me caffeine. And I was like, did you see how fast we finished that race? I mean, we were doing 9:30s on the finish on the last, 40 miles after. And it was, and she's like, well, I didn't tell you, but I think like over that 40 miles, I gave you like 8 caffeine pills. And so
that's way too much.
She's an exaggerator, so I'm going to give her the exaggeration factor, but that's what she told me. And I had no idea. Yeah. And I did feel like we were flying, but that was 4 days in. And so
we needed it. It'll wake you up. I do think that we need to be weary about caffeine intake on races though sometimes because it's a diuretic, right? So we pee out more salt when you might have to replace more salt, right?
I've also had a athlete who at Mammoth 200 last year, he was trying to stay up through the night, so he kept taking caffeine. Well, during the times where he was supposed to sleep, he couldn't sleep.
He was just wired.
Yeah, and so it just eventually caught up to him. And it was, we just like, you were just over caffeinating. And so you really have to time it when you need it, not throughout the race.
Yeah, it's not like a steady one where like every hour you need 1,000 milligrams of salt and like 60 grams of carbs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, and then how much carbs can you take an hour?
I would say I'm a moderate carb person. I'm more like a 60. I'm
Not a
definitely
90
not a
or
100.
120 like some of these
No,
people. Yeah.
no, I think it'd come back to me. I mean, I usually don't have any irritable bowel symptoms, but easy to throw up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
every once in
goes
a while
out.
in the race, you got to just take a pit stop and
Yeah,
go off the side of the road and
yeah. Well,
reset.
and if I feel like $1,000,000 afterwards. So
Yeah, exactly. As long as and then you got to replace some of the fluids and salts
and
and
then you get a
everything,
little
right?
Yep. Then you start over again. So
Start
yeah.
over, reset. All right, and then talk to me about like some of the worst adversities, like injury wise, anything that you've had to deal
Yeah.
with.
Well, I mean, so early in my career, as I continued to ramp up and up on mileage, I was doing probably 80 to 100-mile weeks. It was before, I just thought more was better. The more I could do, the more I could push, the faster I'd go, the longer, I could go. And also there was not the education out about red S. So I ended up with a sacral stress fracture that, I was like, okay, what's this pain? Like, I feel like there's a stab, I had gone, I did, I placed first in my age group for, let me think, I did I did the 50K out at Pemberton. The next day I did Lost Dutchman Marathon. And then I turned around and did, another 90-mile week, no rest. Right. And so by the end of the week, I had a stress fracture in my sacrum. And so looking back, because it took a while to diagnose, I went to the 50-miler down at O Pueblo, even with the pain, thinking, well, maybe I'll just start, maybe it'll loosen up, right? And then as I couldn't go like a half a mile, I realized, yeah, there's a problem. That ice pick will not get out of my back. So got x-rays, MRI, figured out I had the stress fracture. And looking back, because I mean, I was probably 25 pounds lighter at that time.
25 pounds lighter than you are now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was like, I was not fueling enough and I was over exercising. And now there's such a big education about that of
for sure.
like,
malnourishment.
I was, you're just, your bones are, I guess,
they're getting degraded and you're not putting any building blocks back.
I still never got the education at that time, but I did have to, I did come back with very low bone density. I had to go on a full year of daily injections to get bone growth going back. And now 20 years later, I can say, well, yeah, I had But, that was not, it was like I had multiple doctors looking at me. Nobody ever diagnosed me with anything. They're just like, well, we'll just medicate it, right? Yep. We won't do anything about the underlying problem. We'll just medicate it. So that was probably, and that was the first time I realized, more isn't always better. This body can be fragile, and it's the only body I have, and I love running, and I don't want to not be able to do this sport, and so I need to somehow take care of my body a little bit better. And
so a slower build out of that one.
Kind of a shift out of that. And so a lot of PT, and again, just getting my bones healthy again, start eating a little bit more. And now I'm, focused on, protein and fueling my runs and making sure that I'm.
How long until you were running hard again, though, after that?
Definitely sooner than my PT wanted.
Always. Welcome to being an athlete.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I would say I started training again probably 3 months. It was like 3 months, yeah. Yeah. And from walking, I started walking. I went out, she caught me, I walked a half marathon, and she was like, I'm just walking. But I just wanted to participate, so.
So talk to me about your why. Like, what do you pull from? Like, what is like where you go into the depths of you? Like, where's that energy come from? You're doing 100-mile races, you're doing 200-mile races. Like, this is like craziness, but like, what pushes you the most?
Pushes me the most. I mean, I think I really love the daily lifestyle of training. And so the races give me that push to do more on a daily basis. And also, I don't know, just eat right, get more sleep. I mean, it
regulates your life.
It just takes care of, and I think if I didn't know the race was there, I would not take as good a care of myself. I don't know. Maybe I'm just.
I feel the exact same way, so I
would
understand.
get into bad habits, because I, would like to go out with, friends, maybe stay up too late.
Yeah.
And now I can be like, I gotta go to bed. Like
it's a good excuse to get out of the things you don't necessarily want to be in all night.
And I'm also a social person, so I somehow find friends that I can talk them into doing these crazy things. I don't know, and it's really satisfying. I can talk them in, like I'll come up with these ideas, and then I come up with a plan, and they usually, I don't know, 9 times out of 10, I can always find 3 or 4 people that are gullible enough to like, okay, I'll go with you, and then they train, and then I'm so I get the satisfaction of seeing things that they weren't doing before. And they're getting regular training in, and they're doing distances they never thought they could. And so, I don't know, I just love pulling groups along with me. So
I see it even with my clients. Like I had one sign up for a Spartan, and like we were training for a year before we did the Spartan. And then all of a sudden we sign up for this race, and it like kicked them into high gear, and now they're making progress. Now they're like every year they're like waiting for that Spartan to come around, and it's just like signing up for that race is so big for people.
Yeah, and it's contagious, and it's also comes back to me because I have athletes. I get to see their workouts, and it's constantly on my phone. I'm like, oh, they just did that. I better get my workout in because my athletes are doing more than I'm doing. You know,
keeps you accountable.
And so, so it's a circle, definitely a circular function.
And then talk to me about so this podcast is called The Price for Paradise, right? So what's your overall goal? Like, what's your paradise, and what's it going to take to get there?
I want to live the only life I've got, the best version of myself. So I'm always trying to think of what's going to be the best version of myself. I want to show up and, be the best wife, the best mom, live healthy, like take care of this body because this is the only one I've got. So I guess that would be my goal is like, okay. And I don't want to waste time. Like I'm almost 60. So, okay. So, I feel like I get up, the night before I always make a list. What do I want to accomplish today? And so I know the next day, here's my list of things I want to do, and I check it off. And then I have my goals for, the week, the month. I know I have plans out for at least a couple years racing-wise. I already have everything built out. I know in 2 years I'm going to be doing Boston because that'll be 4 decades of Bostons that I've ran. So I'm really excited about that. So I've already got people saying, well, we have to qualify next year. Hey, this is our race we're going to do next April. So start thinking about it because we're going to do a training block next, at the beginning of 2027 for marathons and stuff. So I guess I don't want to go by and say, oh, I wasted that year. You know what I mean? And I just want to make sure I maximize as much as I can, live the best version I can while I'm here.
Leave no stone unturned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And any last things you want to bring up here around the last 10 minutes? That you want to give about ultramarathoning or anything about life?
Yeah, well, I'll go back to the longevity thing. Yeah. It's...
Well, how long are you going to go for? Are you going to be here till like you're 95?
I'm going to keep going until I can't go, right?
I love it.
Yeah. So, I just want to tell people like, you're not too old to start and, you're not too old to keep getting out there. As we get older, yes, you're going to slow down. Can't do the same things you did before, but you just do them a little different and your why changes a little bit. So you're not trying to PR anymore. You're trying to still get out there. And I hope races also look at that and say, like Western states now just implemented that you can use polls for the first year. And that's because for most people, it takes a minimum of 10 years to qualify and actually get in through the lottery.
Yeah.
Well, the aging base of people getting into Western states continues to get older and older. And so last year was the first time that they had multiple 70-year-olds get into the race.
That's
Only
insane.
one finished. And so I think if it took them that long to get in, let's get some accommodations to help them get to the finish line. And, as we get older, like one thing, like my friends and I were talking about, like we trip all the time. And we didn't used to do that. But, our eyesight's a little bit worse. Our mobility is a little bit worse.
Deb, you don't look like you have any of those problems.
I don't know,
but
it's
just to let you know, you don't look like you're an old lady that has eyesight problems and all this stuff.
I mean, I got some good bruises.
You have a good tan, because you go out in the sun a lot. But
I'm just saying that things that didn't happen before happen a lot more. So it's just like if you can, I applaud Western states. Like, let people use poles if they need to. The elites don't need to. If they're racing for a top 10, okay, they don't need to.
That's
use
a different
poles.
book. Yeah, those.
But for the people that need to get through the finish, just anything. Maybe give them an extra hour here and there. Give them an early start if they need to get people that are older to continue. Because I think when you see people stopping exercising for age 60 and above, then they start losing their mobility.
That's when they hurt.
And they start.
It's when they stop. It's not because they kept working out. It's because they stopped working out, and then their bone density stops building up again.
Yes, and so you see that their, real age or whatever you want to call it, just all of a sudden gets really high. You know what I mean? Because their mobility is gone. I mean, you need to practice like standing up with one leg. That single leg. Mobility type of things that you lose as you get older. And so you just got to keep going. You just got to keep getting out there.
You just can't stop ever.
Yes, got to keep getting out there, and whatever that means to everybody.
Yeah, and also listen to your body, eventually. But just push it as hard as you can, as long as you can.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't run, then walk,
Yeah.
So, and if you need to have poles, then use poles. And
if you can't walk, ride, do anything.
Do your spin, swim. I mean, swim is fantastic, even though you don't like it.
No, I love what it does for me. I don't love it while I'm doing it, though.
I mean, there are so many options, but just please keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Deb. This has been so amazing.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure meeting you in person.
Yes, it was awesome. And guys, if you want to find Deb, where can we find you?
Well, it's Deb Runs Far, Instagram, Facebook, Strava, Deb Hamberlin on some of them, but I think that's pretty much covers the bases.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, and we'll catch you guys next week on The Price for Paradise. My name's Woody, and aloha.
That was fast.
52 minutes. Yeah, thank you. No, that was awesome.